From pole position yesterday to the perfect race today, Lewis Hamilton has made a winning start to this 2008 Formula One World Championship season. Victory in Australia. Your reaction first, Mark Blundell.
I have to say, just a very, very mature race by Lewis Hamilton. Just a race what you would expect from a world champion. Obviously he's not yet, but with that kind of performance, it won't be long.
The only disappointment, the only frustration, I suppose, from the McLaren point of view, it's not a 1-2, and it should have been.
Yeah, I think that would have been a fair result as well. Unfortunately for Kovalainen, he got caught out with the safety car. That really hindered his performance, just with a safety car and a pit stop for the fuel situation. But, you know, he drove a great race as well.
An extraordinary race, full of incident, full of attrition, and the great bonus from the McLaren-Hamilton point of view, the other main contenders, or who we thought would be the other main contenders for this season, well, they were nowhere.
Well, I think we're all a little bit gobsmacked by that. Everybody felt Ferrari were going to be the target, and the people who win this race, they were nowhere. And, you know, even though Raikkonen tried his best, he made a couple of errors, unlike a world champion, unlike Raikkonen, and they were costly. And
we thought BMW would be contenders as well. And off the start, Kubica put Hamilton under tremendous pressure, didn't he?
He did put him under pressure on the start, but, you know, Lewis had it all under control, to be fair to him, but there was a lot going on in that start line. A couple of people just pushing a little bit too heavy into turn one, and we had a few little dramas. A couple of people just getting clipped and turned around, but you're going to see more and more of this as we go on to the season, because there's a lot more an issue coming into the turn one with the lack of traction control and launch control.
And Massa, the verdict was he did all this on his own.
I think he did, Steve, to be fair. You can see there isn't any contact between the two cars. He turns in, there's clear air between them. He just gets a little bit loose, squeezes on that throttle again, and he's not saved by the traction control.
Well, that signalled the start of what was going to prove to be a pretty bad afternoon from the Ferrari point of view. But Raikkonen was tremendous at the start, made up all those places, and we saw a little bit of the potential pace of this car for the season to come.
Well, that's the thing. It definitely has got the pace, and I think it's got McLaren pace as well, but it just seems not to have reliability. And also, I have to say, Massa a mistake. Kimi also made a couple of driving errors.
Yeah, Raikkonen, when he was coming through the field, first of all held up by Kovalainen, getting it wrong, far too ambitious.
Well, you're right. What he did there was actually unbelievable. We've just see the pace that he comes in, just outbrakes himself. I don't know whether he even missed out on looking at the corner itself, because the actual speed that he carried, far beyond what was going to be needed, and far beyond what was capable for the car to stop. Just watch the difference in speed here. Kovalainen checks up for the corner in a normal position. Kimi's actually very lucky that he doesn't end up in the wall itself. So a big error from the world champ.
And he did the same thing a few laps later, coming up behind Timo Glock as well.
Yeah, similar situation. But I think, you know, Ferrari under pressure all weekend, and I think Kimi's obviously a little bit frustrated. You just see him, he just squeezes himself a little bit too wide, puts that left rear on the grass. You've again got no traction control to help out. You've got no engine braking to talk of on these cars as we are now. And he's got the better of him. And this is going to be something, you see, watch, comes up, lines him up, just uses too much road and in fact uses too much grass. There's no grip on the grass, we all know that, and that's the consequence.
So we've learned a lot about McLaren's potential for the season to come. How much have we learned about Ferrari today?
We've learned that they're fragile, and we've learned also that there's some pressure building up already in the system. The drivers have got a bit frustrated. But don't take it away from McLaren. Outstanding performance.
Yeah, Hamilton, our winner, and the top three are in the press conference.
Lewis, from where you were, it was probably a relatively straightforward race, but it was a chaotic, dramatically hot Australian Grand Prix. Talk us through Robert Kubica right behind you in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, we got away to a really good start, and I actually had a little bit of wheel spin, so I think we were quite close going into the first corner, but I was able to put a good gap on the exit of the first corner. Just had to keep it cool and just look after the tyres from then on. And from then on, I really just paced myself and didn't overdo it. I had plenty of time in me, so it was just to use that to my advantage and try to look after the tyres. And there was a point in the second stint where you know, I had to put my foot down due to the safety car. But I guess it was a bit like my first win last year in Montreal, where we had 4 safety cars. It was pretty similar to that, where we had to. It was difficult to heat the tyres and the brakes up. So yeah, a good challenge, but we've all done a great job.
But it looked as if the timing of the team was perfect when it came to your pit stops relative to the safety cars.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job as always. But I have to say a big, huge thank you to Vodafone, McLaren, Mercedes. The car was phenomenal, really was. A complete dream to drive compared to the car we had last year. And but pulling me in early on both my pit stops really did help us in terms of safety cars and kept us out of trouble.
well, difficult to anticipate safety cars, but talk us through that strategy. Is that something you would have looked at before the race?
Yeah, absolutely. The teams go into, they look at all angles and try to analyse exactly what could go on in the race, and they plan for the worst. But we've got a fantastic strategic team, so they did a great job. Pulling me in early was really, I was very, very fortunate, and it was unlucky for Heikki getting caught in the safety car.
Lewis, it was a long, hot race as well. You look pretty fit. How do you feel, and what was it like in the cockpit?
I feel fantastic. Never would have thought it would have been as physically a breeze as it was just there. But great preparation for Malaysia. Bring it on. I'm really looking forward to it.
Congratulations to you, Lewis. And Nick, very well done to you too. Looked as if you perfectly weaved your way through the dramas of the afternoon, but of course a very close race early on with Nico Rosberg, and both of you coming into the pits at the same time for your first fuel stop.
Yeah, exactly. After the start, I thought that's not going to be a very good race, because I knew that Nico was quite long. Actually, he came in earlier than expected. Luckily on the same lap as myself, and what we lost on the start, we gained back on the pit stop. So our pit stop crew again similar to last year, did a fantastic stop to just get me out in front of Nico. And then I was lucky on the pit stops in terms of safety car, but I think we also had a very good pace and deserved second position.
Quite a chaotic first corner, and indeed first couple of laps as well. What was it like from your point of view there?
Well, I had a lot of wheel spin on the start. Tried to close towards Nico, but was just no chance. Then he got by, and then I just saw Felipe spinning, and that was all the drama I saw.
Well done, Nick. Congratulations to you and the team. And Nico, fourth in Brazil, and now next race, third here in the Australian Grand Prix. What an amazing day for you.
I know, I'm really happy. It's amazing to be on the podium in F1. It's just great, and it's been a while also, nearly 3 years or something. So it's just really nice, and I'm also really pleased for the whole team, because they've been working so hard over the winter and really done a good job. Really done good progress. So it's just great.
Well, Nick Heidfeld just said that you came in earlier than expected for that first stop. How do you react to that?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, my qualifying could have been slightly better probably, but everything happened as planned really, and I was a bit surprised to see him in right behind me, and I was hoping to get out in front of him, but no chance. It was very close, and I had to back off, so that was it. But I had a fantastic start, and that's what helped me have a great race. So thanks to the engineers responsible for that. That was really great.
And a bit of a drama on your outlap onto the grid as well. Did that affect your confidence?
I had new pads on the front, because I had a very big vibration in qualifying, which was a big problem. So they had to change front pads, and so I had much more grip on the front, and that just got me by surprise. And I hadn't anticipated how much I had to go rear with some brake balance. So that really wasn't ideal to start the race, but turned out it was all right.
And during the race, the balance, brakes and the handling?
Yeah, it was could have been better, but it was definitely. I think we have a solid car to start the season with. Hoping to have a nice development through the season, and I think we can have a good year.
Congratulations to you, Nico.
Thank you.
Lewis, returning to you, final thoughts. Malaysia, of course, looming almost as we speak. A great win for you and a great start to the season for the team, but nonetheless, a lot of pace showed by Kimi Räikkönen early on in the race from a lowly grid position. Your thoughts going into the next couple of races?
Well, it is the perfect way to begin the season. I was just saying to Nico, it's been, I think, exactly 8 years since we were on the podium together. Back in the days when we were in karting. It's great to be up here again with him. But going into the next few races, obviously we need to try and continue with the momentum we have. As I said, we could have gone quicker. So I'm not particularly bothered about the Ferrari's pace, but obviously BMW and Williams have done a great job as well, so we need to keep on pushing. The team needs to keep on pushing, as will I, and I really hope going into the next race we can get a good result again.
Well done to you. And I can have some words from the drivers in their own language, starting with Nick in German.
Ja, ein fantastischer Start in die Saison, wenn man bedenkt, was wir für Probleme hatten bei den Wintertests.
Yeah, as they go off into their own language, it's great to see Lewis Hamilton didn't lose his smile at all during the course of that press conference, and taking a great deal of pleasure from being joined on the podium by Nico Rosberg, because that really confirms the progress that we thought Williams had made.
Oh, definitely. I think Williams probably a little bit dissatisfied with the qualifying yesterday, but knew that they had a strong race car, and they've been very strong in race format for last season as well. So I think Rosberg actually did a great job, but it's good to see those guys there. Say the young guys we've all seen coming through the ranks from karting and lower formulas, and to now see them on a Formula One press conference on a podium together, fantastic.
Why was it a race of such attrition and so many mistakes?
I think because of the way the regulations are now, the traction control, the gearbox for 4 races now, various bits and pieces to do with the weather as well, and people just making mistakes. And yeah, you know, it's a higher attrition race, and there's going to be a lot of progress made over the following weeks, but I don't think it will really get any stronger until we go to Europe when they've had time for development.
So Massa and Coulthard, whose mistake was it that took David Coulthard out of the race?
Me personally, I think it was a racing incident. I just believe that maybe DC didn't get a glimpse of Massa coming down the inside. You know, at the end of the day, I think if he had seen him, he'd have left him room, because you can just see his speed and where he was positioned, and it was inevitable that there was going to be this clash. So, you know, maybe if DC sees it, there might be a reflection upon that, but you know, it's one of those situations, what happens in F1, and I think you're going to see more and more of that because of the way the mirrors are situated now on the cars. Very difficult to see.
Well, we heard David Coulthard suggest in the strongest possible terms that it was Felipe Massa's fault. We might not hear that in the re-edited version, but Timo Glock had an incident-packed debut at this level and with his new team, and what an awful moment this was.
Yeah, for me, this should never really happen. You know, unfortunately, Glock there, he has got wide, he's lost a little bit of control, and then he's crossed the service road, he's hit the grass, and it's launched the car into the air. That's where all the damages have been caused. I should imagine he stayed in the car for quite a while, because he's probably winded, Steve. I mean, in this situation, look at the speed he's carrying, launches, airborne. Very fortunate that he didn't actually catch the tyres on the left-hand side. But a big hit, probably doing 140 miles an hour.
And it's that replay there that really gives you an impression of the force of an accident like that. But really on a circuit and in a sport where so much emphasis is given to safety, a car shouldn't be launched like that.
No, I mean, that's one of the downsides of a temporary circuit, street circuit like we have here. And 99% of the time, they're normally pretty good. But as we've seen, that situation's happened. They're going to have to address that.
Honda's problems, Jensen went out early, and then Rubens, well, he just had to come into the pits, had to refuel, and it all went wrong.
A crying shame for Rubens and for Honda, because they had a lot of progress going on. And unfortunately, they had to make a pit stop and get fuel where the safety car was out there. This incident as well, the lollipop was lifted too early. A couple of people still refueling. It's something we've seen before.
OK, I think we can hear from Rubens. He's with Louise.
Rubens, kind of difficult to know where to start. All sorts happening in that Grand Prix. I guess the most dramatic thing for you, though, that incident in the pit lane.
Yeah, it was sort of I wouldn't call that bad luck. This is just no justice for a team that did so well. But after all, my message to the young boys is that I'm here for long, and still driving the best out of the car. I lost the control of the damper since the first pit stop, so it was a crazy race anyway. We're getting to know the car, so still well done to the boys at the factory who made it this possible. The boys out here, I'm sorry for the one that I hit. I don't know who I hit it, but we had a problem at the pit stop. We had all sorts of problems, so we got to be happy that we still finished on the points.
Well, the question is, though, did you finish in the points? Because there's speculation that you crossing the red light at the end of the pit lane, that might mean that you lose the points. What do you know about that?
I don't know that. I didn't see it, so crazy race.
Thanks, Rubens.
It does seem that Rubens is finishing position in the lap of the gods, or at least the lap of the stewards at the moment.
That's maybe the case, but he had a tough race, actually, and also he got a 10-second penalty for refueling under the safety car. So, yeah, a little bit of a long distance for him there.
Kubica looked as if he was set for a strong race, a strong finish. After the opening few laps, he started to go backwards and eventually came together with Nakajima.
Yeah, great shame for Kubica. We had a lot of expectation for him, and it just didn't come together. And we got towards the end of the race, and he had it coming together with Nakajima. Nakajima off the circuit at that point, lost his nose. Kubica there going into the pit lane already. I think just where they all got checked up slightly on the restart, and a couple of them just lost concentration. You just see they climbed over each other there, and both damaged. Kubica's race, not a great one for him. Good position to start, but didn't finish off well at all.
And not a great one, to say the least, for Kimi Räikkönen, the world champion. Let's hear from Kimi.
I spoke to you here, same place yesterday after qualifying, and a really disappointing way to end the first race of the season.
Yeah, for sure. If you cannot finish the race, it's not very good. But I think so. We should get 1 point still. The Rubens went through the red light, so it's better than nothing. And but for sure, it's not what we wanted from here.
What were the problems you had being unable to pass people under braking and then at the end with the engine?
Well, I don't know what happened to the engine. We need to look, but I went off when I tried to get past Kovalainen, and I had a little spin and all sorts of things happened. But in the end, all those things doesn't matter if you don't finish the race. So, well, I hope we get that 1 point like we should, and then we go for next race and try to do better. At least it's only the first race, and the car itself was good when we were able to run our own. So I think so. We have a good car, but not the ideal race here.
You won last year's championship by 1 point, of course, but I suppose as far as the championship's not the best way to start.
Well, yeah, for sure not. But like I said, there's many races left, and every point what we can get is always a bonus. So we go next race and try to improve.
Thanks, Kim.
That's Kimi's problems. We've now been joined by Heikki Kovalainen. Congratulations on your McLaren debut. You might be thinking at this point, though, could have been even better.
Yeah, it could have been better, but I think overall we've had a fantastic weekend, and as my first weekend in the team, I'm more than happy about the results and the pace over the weekend. The safety car had us over this time, but anyway, we maximized our efforts after that, and I managed to pass Fernando and then just accidentally hit the pit lane speed limiter in the middle of the straight as I was trying to take my tail off away from the visor. And
yeah, we can see that now. What exactly happened at this point?
Well, I got inside and he tried to give me a bit of a squeeze, but I made a move, and after that it was pretty well in control. But then coming down to the straight, I went with my right hand. I went for the tail off as it was full of oil. I couldn't see anything, and then I just hit the pit lane speed limiter accidentally with my fist. And for a second I thought, what was going on? I had no drive, and Fernando went past again, and I thought, oh dear. So.
Heikki, you got your first Grand Prix under your belt with McLaren. You're very comfortable in the car. You did the quickest lap in a Grand Prix. You think you're going to progress in next weekend's race?
Yeah, I hope so. At least that's got to be the target. And all weekend I've taken it fairly easy without any extra pressure from trying to be the fastest or trying to be the quickest and win the race. I've just taken it as it comes. When the car feels like if I can push, I push a bit more. When it feels that I can't push, I back off, and it's worked very well. And I'm sure over the year I'll get stronger and stronger, and the other guys need to watch out.
Heikki, stay with us just a moment if you can, but we can hear swiftly now from Fernando Alonso, I believe.
Fernando, there were winners and losers today. You're definitely one of the winners, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was very very race with the safety cars and with all the accidents that we had. So at the end, I think that. I took a little bit of advantage of everything, and I finished fourth that maybe 10 laps to the end I was not expecting.
Was there a slight smile on your face as you drove past that McLaren at the end?
Yeah, of course. And after see the pit wall from McLaren doing like that, I did like that as well when I overtook him.
Well done.
That's Fernando Alonso. Heikki, how did you see your role in those opening laps? Especially, was it a defensive role, especially when you were fending off Kimi Räikkönen? Is that the role that you might anticipate you'll be required to play a few times this season?
The team never requires me to play any special rules against anyone. It was my own rule that when I'm ahead of other cars and we are racing, I've always defend if I have to, regardless who's behind me. And after the first stop, Kimi was there, and he was a bit quicker at that point, and I had to defend, and he made a mistake. Then again, towards the end of the race, he was ahead of me. I managed to pass him, and I don't know at the end what happened to him, because suddenly I just lost him from my mirrors. But no, I won't get any instructions from the team. They tell me to go for it every time I have an opportunity.
Well, it's a great start for the team, and you've played a huge part yourself. Thoughts from Malaysia now, having got this winning start under the belt for Lewis. Spirits high in the team, and what do you take forward to Malaysia now?
Yeah, I just don't dare to even think about the weather. It was already so damn hot in the car that next weekend I know that it's going to be another big fight. But apart from that, I think the spirits are really high. Everybody is very motivated. I think our team looks different from last year. I think everybody feels happy, And even if sometimes we don't win the race, I think we keep pushing. We keep working towards the goal at the end, and it's great.
Thank you, well done. Keep it going into Malaysia.
Thank you very much.
Great start to the season. OK, final thought from you, swift one, Mark. Season up and running, and it looks good for McLaren.
Final thoughts. We've got 17 more Grand Prix to go, and I think there's 17 more opportunities for Lewis Hamilton to be the world champion. On a performance like today, it's inevitable. OK, well, if you've just seen the closing laps of this Grand Prix at this rather early hour, well, there's a complete rerun at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Further highlights just after midnight. Football before that, with all the championship highlights at 10:45. And the next stop for the Formula One World Championship, Malaysia. Live qualifying coverage at 5:15 on Saturday morning, with a rerun later. Live race coverage at the slightly more sociable hour of 6:15 on Sunday morning. Once again with a rerun later. But the perfect start to the season for Lewis Hamilton. He's the winner here in Australia. From us all here in Melbourne, it's goodbye.